The next periodic table trend we're going to discuss is electronegativity. And electronegativity is the tendency to attract electrons in a covalent bond. And we're not going to worry about this in a covalent bond part just yet because we haven't talked about bonds. And so we're just going to narrow it down to the definition of the tendency to attract electrons. That's not the full story. We'll talk about the full story at a later date. But the tendency to attract electrons, and in the analogy that I'm going to be using, let's think of these electrons as fans at a concert, and they want to see their favorite element, one of these elements. They want to see their favorite element perform at a concert. So let's look at our two concerts going on right now. We've got Francium here. Let's call him Frank. I don't know what singer you guys listen to that's name is Frank. Frank Ocean. That's somebody who comes to mind. I don't know much about him. But Frank here, he's got a concert, and he's got a lot of fans in attendance. Specifically, he has 87 fans in attendance. Kind of a lot, at least compared to his buddy Flo Rida over here, who only managed to get 9 fans in attendance today. Well, let's talk about Frank first. We've got Frank has 87 fans in attendance, but if there's something about all celebrities, if you don't know any celebrities, something about them, they love to brag about selling out concerts. And whenever they sell out a concert, it makes them look really good because they filled up the whole venue. But sometimes they kind of cheat a little bit. If they notice that they are not going to completely fill up the concert venue, and they fill up all except for one of the rows of seats, sometimes they'll just block off the last row of seats to where they can say they're full even though they aren't completely full. So Francium, or Frank, he notices that he only has one fan in the very last row of seats in his concert. So what he does is he tells security and says, "Hey, let's put up some construction barriers and different things to where it's going to make it very uncomfortable, and hopefully we can get this guy to leave. Because if he leaves, we're going to have a full concert where we'll have 8, and back to chemistry, we'll have 8 electrons in the valence shell, and that's what we like. So let's go ahead and take away all the seats and tell this person he's got to move, and when he doesn't find another seat to sit in, hopefully he'll just leave." So Francium, not only does he not want to attract any more electrons, he knows he's not going to fill up all the 7 other seats that are in that row. So he's given up on that. Not only is he not going to try to attract electrons, but he's actually trying to get rid of this electron. He wants to get rid of that electron so that he can have 8 in his valence shell. So Francium has a very low tendency to attract electrons. He has one fan that just won't go away, and he kind of wants to get rid of him. He definitely doesn't want to attract more fans because it's going to be harder to get rid of 2 or 3 or 4 fans than it is to get rid of one. He wants to get this fan the heck out of his show so that he can have a full venue and brag to all his friends that he sold out his concert. Flo Rida is in a different situation though. Flo Rida, he notices that even though he doesn't have a large venue, he booked inside of a small venue, and he noticed one of his fans did not show up. And he has the first row of seats, he has the 2 VIP people, or 2 people in the first row of seats. And then he notices that there are 7 people filling out of 8 possible seats in the second row. And this is killing him. He really wants to get rid of, or not to get rid of, but he wants to gain an electron. He really wants to gain an electron so that he can have 8 electrons in his valence shell so that he can have his full sold-out concert. So he tells his security, so very, very opposite of francium over here. He tells his security, hey, go find somebody on the street and tell them we've got a concert. We're going to give you a free ticket, free food, free drinks, free ticket to my next concert even. We need to fill up this last seat with an 8th person or an 8th electron. So he's doing whatever he can to make his concert more attracting, so that people or these electrons really wants to join and fill in this valence shell to where it will have 8 electrons. So 2 very different things. So again, francium, he wants to get rid of this electron. This electron is just annoying him, but also the electron, he can't see anything. He's got all these electrons in here interfering with him, and they're actually pushing against him, kind of pushing him away. So he he's got this electron shielding going on here, and he's very, he's so far from the stage that he's not very attracted to the nucleus anymore. He's not very attracted to the concert. He can barely even hear it. He can barely even see it. And these people keep pushing against him and pushing him further and further away. Whereas Florida over here, he is doing everything he can to make himself super attractive and his concert super attractive to where they can find somebody to fill in that last seat. And so because of this, we can think of electronegativity, the tendency to attract electrons. So which one of these sounds like the more attractive venue for a stray electron just walking down the street? Which one is it going to want to go to? The one where they kind of closed off the last row of seats and you can't see anything and the people are pushing against you trying to get you to leave. The security's trying to get you to leave and you can't see or hear the concert even. Or you're going to go to the one where you get free tickets and free food and free drinks and free tickets to the next show maybe even. Which one sounds like it's going to attract electrons more? I would argue that it's definitely Florida that's doing a better job of attracting electrons. So again, for multiple reasons, you're closer to the stage. That's going to be a big one. You're closer to the stage because you have fewer electron shells. And then also, you're closer to the stage, you have less interference. You only have 2 people in front of you, so you can actually see the stage, and they're not pushing against you too much. You can see the stage more, you can hear the stage more, and security's not trying to get you to leave. So I would say that Florida is much more of an attraction for an electron to want, or it's a lot more attracting for the electron to want to go towards Florida. All right, so let's look at our trends. So we kind of established that fluorine is way more electronegative than francium. Also, by the way, I didn't mention it, but I went ahead and crossed off the noble gases because they're kind of an exception to electronegativity. Think of them as having an electronegativity value of 0. So just whenever we're talking about, there's a couple exceptions. I think xenon's an exception, maybe a couple others. But for the purpose of this class, think of the noble gases as having an electronegativity value of 0. So fluorine is located up here, and it's actually Florida, whenever he can't fill a concert and he's missing 1 seat, which is typically the case because he has 7 valence electrons, he makes a phenomenal deal to whoever is walking on the streets. They never want to pass it up. They get a free ticket, free food, free drinks. I'd go to that even if I didn't listen to their type of music. So he's actually the most electronegative element on the periodic table. Whereas actually corresponding, francium is actually the lowest electronegativity on the entire periodic table. And so for multiple reasons, he has a lot of electron shells. There's a ton of electron shells. There's 7 specifically. And so there's a very weak attraction between this electron and the nucleus. And then also, since he's further on the left of the periodic table, it's very easy for it to just get rid of this last electron. So if we can just get rid of him, then we can get to 8 valence electrons. So that's what their plan is, since they just gave up on trying to get 7 more people to show up. They just want to get rid of the 1 so that they can have the full show. So francium, again, has a very low electronegativity because they do not even want to attract more people or more electrons to the show. They want to actually just get rid of the 1. So they gave up on trying to attract anybody. And then also the level of attraction between somebody's way out, 100 miles from the concerts, they're hardly even at the concert anymore. They don't make it very tempting to stay at the concerts. They're trying to kind of kick you out. And then also the concert's just less enjoyable because you're so far away. So that's why francium has a low electronegativity. Whereas fluorine over here, he is doing everything he can. You've got a great seat. You're only in the second row. And so less interference. There's only 2 people in front of you. So there's a strong attraction to the nucleus. And also, they only need 1 more person in order to fill up the concert venue and be sold out. They're giving you a free ticket, free drinks, and free food. You better bet that there's going to be a high attraction for electrons to join and go to the Flowrider concert. So the overall trend, if we haven't picked up on it, maybe pause the video and guess what it is. But the overall trend is going to increase as you go up and to the right. It's very closely related to our last video of ionization energy. Very, very closely related. But ionization energy includes the noble gases here. But for electronegativity, the noble gases, they are content. They just don't want to be messed with. They're not part of electronegativity. They already have their full concert venue, so they're not trying to attract any electrons. They're not trying to get rid of any electrons. They just have an electronegativity value of 0. So major difference, it's going to be the same trend as ionization energy, but except we are going to not include the noble gases. Francium is the least electronegative element on the entire periodic table, and fluorine is the most attractive or electronegative element on the entire periodic table.